All right, guys, we're going to try a little something new here. Just going down the AI rabbit hole, and I'm going to try doing some wrap ups. We'll start with 8 stories this week and see how this goes, see how long it takes, and if able, maybe each week I'll do a better wrap up. So let's begin. Story number one: the $100 billion brawl. So Elon Musk has officially taken the gloves off, filing a $100 billion lawsuit against OpenAI, Sam Altman, and Greg Brockman, the founders of OpenAI. The trial set for April 17th centers on claims of breach of contract and fraud, with Musk demanding their ever their revert to a from a nonprofit to a profit model, which don't understand. How can you do that? I mean, you just go, oh, wait a second, this nonprofit's making a ton of money. Let's make it profitable. Meanwhile, OpenAI uh, reached a mind-bending 852 billion valuation, proving that in AI, the drama is only outpaced by the dollar valuation of just about anything AI. It's basically the Real Housewives of Silicon Valley, but with more GPUs and fewer table flips. So that would be number one, and we will see how this pans out. To me, it just blows my mind away. Um, it's hard to fathom just the valuations of where these AI things are going. Obviously, it's the future, and we'll have to see how that goes out. So let's go to story number two: OpenAI's secret super app revealed. So a lot of people obviously started with OpenAI, and now there's a big race between apps and models trying to get your attention, get your business. So OpenAI is moving toward a super app strategy with the Codec desktop app leading the charge. Codex can now operate your computer alongside you, click and type with its own cursor, and even work on multiple tasks in parallel without blocking your screen. It's now using GPT 1.5 for direct image generation. I don't even understand how do you go. Their modeling in OpenAI just makes no sense to me. Now they're down 1.5, and then it's 4.5, and then it's like they it makes no sense. For direct image generation, meaning you can build a website mockup and have the AI code it into a functioning app in minutes. Sounds like Claude code. It's finally happening, a computer that actually works with you instead of just giving you the blue screen of death. Honestly, it just sounds like they're trying to compete with Claude Code and Cowork, which is pretty amazing. I use it all the time, and I still use OpenAI, ChatGPT, but mainly for brainstorming and just talking to the computer. It's the most biased, it's the most liberal, it's the most woke, it seems. So if you're not into that, you might hate ChatGPT. But hey, it is what it is. I mean, it's still very useful, but in different ways. Let's just keep going. All right. So a lot of AI models here. Business Anthropic's $1 trillion trajectory. So Anthropic is no longer the quiet underdog. It's projected to hit 100 billion in revenue by 2026 and potentially a trillion by 2027. Next, I mean, we're talking next year. Crazy, right? Demand for Anthropic shares is now 3 times higher than for OpenAI on secondary markets. Their latest release, Claude Opus 4.7, is setting new records in agentic coding, showing a massive leap in its ability to handle complex software engineering tasks compared to previous versions. Turns out the quiet kid in the AI class is actually planning to buy the whole school. So, you know, the whole model upgrades thing used to be something I used to follow so closely, and now I don't even really pay that much attention. I do not see for the average everyday user the difference isn't that huge, and a lot of times they make little changes that they don't tell you about. So you can upgrade to the next model, and it'll seem amazing, and then 2 weeks later it starts to get stupid, and people are like, "What the hell happened to it?" They have a lot of internal changes they make, and they're always trying to fine tweak it so that it's not using unnecessary tokens processing power. So, these things are, as far as I'm concerned, it's like you just got to take everything with a grain of salt. If you can find ways to make it useful, it's all about setting up your processes and just learning what works. And it's very frustrating when something works and then just for some reason just doesn't work. Let's keep going. All right. So Elon's 10 trillion parameter colossus. So when we're talking about like the parameter of a chat window and how much memory it can keep in the context for long, that's kind of what this all equates to, or how it ends up as far as the user. But a number like 10 trillion between 1 trillion, what does that really mean for the average user? I don't know. Really. It's just kind of like, does it work better? Does it seem, to get the job done? So while others pivot to smaller models, Elon Musk's XAI is leaning into brute force with Colossus, a data center packed with 700,000 GPUs costing an estimated $18 billion. dollars. Wow, for a data center. Musk is aiming for a 10 trillion parameter model. So this is the training model. So sorry, I was thinking of something else. I was thinking of the context token model, but the training model, which is how much data they're putting into training it and how smart it can be, you know, and how capable it can be. And it seems like the bigger you go, the better, smarter it just gets without actually changing anything. Shattering the previous soft ceiling of 1.5 trillion, his strategy is simple. If you can't outthink them yet, just build a computer the size of a small moon to overpower them. Like I said, right now, what Elon Musk has realized is if you want your AI to be smarter, you just put more power in more um, parameters. More as I was saying, more 700,000 GPUs at it, 10 trillion parameter model, which will make it smarter and more capable without actually changing the technology or finding new, more efficient ways to basically train and make AI useful. So let's go to the next one. All right. So the virtual cell and the death of cancer. There's some really interesting stories on this. AI is revolutionizing biology with a virtual cell moonshot aimed for completion by 2030. That's only 6 years from now, which would allow for digital simulations of human biology. AI developed drugs are already showing an 85% success rate in phase 1 trials, nearly double the traditional rate. We've even seen Sid Brandage, the founder, the rate, okay, that we've seen. Sid Brandage, the founder of GitLab, used an AI research team to find a treatment for his incurable stage 4 cancer that doctors had completely missed. Finally, a use for AI that's even better than making pictures of cats in space. So I remember reading this story, and the guy's a multi-billionaire. He basically just put all his resources into curing an uncurable cancer. And he uploaded something like 20 terabytes of data of everything he could do of his body, his health, every possible test you could ever make. And AI went to work and started finding, treatments that hadn't yet been tried on his type. And before he did this, he had all kinds of stuff done, medically done, and he saved his own life. It's one of the things that you can do with money, obviously, but probably you're going to have the same capability that he has in like 2 or 3 years, which is amazing, the average person. The question is, how and what do you do now to get started? And I was thinking about making a whole entire video on like this. How could you create and map out, say, a whole AI, let's say, project that's just based on your own personal health. I think that everybody should be doing that. Um, but anyways, that's pretty crazy, and you can find more if you just do a search on that. All right, this is also an interesting one. I did something on this, but the one person conglomerate era. Jack Dorsey is pushing a radical new management style aiming to have 6,000 employees report directly to him through an AI intelligence layer. The goal is to collapse middle management entirely using AI agents to mediate all workflows. This aligns with the rise of one-person AI conglomerates, where individuals use fleets of 24/7 headless agents to run massive operations in the future. Bringing your kid to work day might just mean showing them your server rack. So, a lot of AI experts have been talking about this for a long time. I think it's everybody's dream that you have a $1 billion valuation, 100 billion, whatever it is, just a ridiculous valuation company that is primarily run on you and maybe one or two people max, and the rest is all AI, less drama, less hassle, less dealing with people and their problems, less hiring, firing, worrying about unemployment, insurance, and all that. It's a fraction of the cost, and the AI just gets smarter. Obviously, we're going to go there, and probably it's going to eventually go to the point to where it's just AI running its own corporations, and they do better everything better than a human. And you just back that horse. Basically, you just invest in it. I think that's going to be the future, where we're just going to say, you know what? Why don't you just remove the final last one or two, three humans because it'll do better without them. And I think there's research that already points to that, that human becomes the bottleneck in the slowdown of the process. I mean, we're going to be there, I think, in about a year. All right, let's keep going. Okay. The AI boss is here. In San Francisco, a fully AI controlled store called Luna has opened its doors. The AI signed the 3-year lease, conducted phone interviews, and even hired the human employees to stock the shelves. It decides what to sell, from books to snacks, based on real-time data analysis. It's all fun and games with the AI bot. It's all fun and games until the AI boss starts asking you, "Where were you 30 Why were you 30 seconds late from lunch?" Yeah, I would like to learn more about this. I'm gonna have to dig into this. I'm sure there's more information. It's probably just this is just a headliner, and maybe somebody's putting, a lot of times companies, this and that, when they want to raise money or they want to get some marketing, they come up with some ridiculous story and they make it sound like it's real. But then when you dig into it, you find out like, oh, maybe it's just a test store, or there's something bigger behind it that they're trying to raise money for. Like I said, I do believe we're going to be there in 2 years, that there's going to be AI and robots pretty much running everything. It's crazy, but like, it's the cat's out of the box. There's no stopping it. So do a search for that if you guys want to dig into it. Maybe I'll do a dedicated video on that if I can find more information on that. Luna. All right, so last story of the day, the satellite war, Apple and Amazon versus Starlink. Amazon and Apple have teamed up to challenge Elon's Starlink, acquiring Globalstar in an $11.5 billion deal. While Starlink has 10,000 satellites, Globalstar owns the critical spectrum that allows satellites to talk directly to your phones and Apple Watch without a bulky antenna. Elon isn't sitting still, though, prepping V3 Starlink satellites that could add 60 terabytes of capacity per launch. The sky is officially getting crowded, and the Wi-Fi password is global domination. So yeah, Elon Musk doesn't just think in how can I improve. He goes, how can I 100x whatever they're doing? He thinks beyond. He thinks in exponential, and humans have a hard time thinking in exponential. You ever take a piece of paper and you fold it in half 5 times, and then you ask somebody, what happens if I fold this in half 50 times? How big would it be? How thick would this? Nobody gets it right unless they know the answer, and that is because they can't think exponentially. There's a lot of examples and scenarios. So anyways, that's going to end it. I will say one more thing on the AI front. There's been a bunch of hacks, especially in the crypto space, and they're hacking smart contracts, and all these DeFi protocols are getting hacked. And maybe I'll start separating these stories into categories because it's too much so fast. We have basically just the companies and their growth and their upgrades. We have biology, that's a topic in AI. We have crypto, the crypto space, and how AI is affecting that. There's all these categories, and AI is just growing crazier and bigger. But anyways, I'm going to end the video here and just trying this method out, see how it goes, and we'll keep it going. I enjoy doing this, and the reason why I'm doing this is I'm just a regular guy that wants to stay on top of AI as much as I can in my 50s. I'd like to learn how to basically utilize this so that I can, continue to have financial freedom on my terms and stay ahead of the curve, stay ahead of the herd.